In the year 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire came to an end. This was a very big moment in history. For many people, it felt like the world they knew was falling apart. The Roman Empire had been a strong power for a long time. Its fall left a large, empty space of power, especially in a region that the Romans called Gaul. After the empire's collapse, many new groups of people moved into Gaul. The Romans often called these groups barbarians. These groups were not united. They were often small tribes that fought with each other over land and resources. Their world seemed full of chaos and disagreement. So, how did these scattered, fighting tribes grow to build one of the most important and dominant nations in European history? This is the main question this book will explore. We will travel back to a time of great change and violence. You will discover the real and sometimes bloody origins of modern European culture. The elegant France we see today was not born in peace. Instead, it was forged through brutal struggles, clever plans, and often deep betrayal. Among the many new tribes settling in Gaul were the Franks. They were just one group among many, and perhaps seemed like a small, unimportant tribe. But the Franks had a new, ambitious leader. He was young, but very smart and determined. This leader was about to make a choice, a single decision that would change the shape of Europe forever. His actions would begin a new path for Gaul and beyond. 2. The first king. Clovis became king of the Salian Franks when he was only 15 years old in 481 AD. He had big plans for his people. In 486, he led an army and won a key battle at Soissons. This victory doubled the size of his land. He then moved his capital to Paris, a city that would become very important. Clovis and his people followed an old pagan religion, but he saw that Christianity was strong in the lands he now ruled. He married a Catholic woman named Clotilda. Around 496, Clovis fought a big war against the Alemanni. This was the Battle of Tolbiac. The fighting was hard, and Clovis's army was losing. In his despair, he prayed to his wife's Christian god. He promised to convert if he won. The battle then turned, and the Franks achieved victory. Clovis kept his promise. He was baptized on Christmas Day in 508. Many historians say this was the start of the French monarchy. Unlike other Germanic tribes who followed Arian Christianity, Clovis became a Catholic Christian. This made him a hero to the Pope and the people of Rome. Clovis wanted to unite all the Frankish tribes under his rule. He did this in a very harsh way. He fought against many enemy leaders, and some of them were his own family members. He killed them to make sure his power was complete and to bring the tribes together. He then pushed out the Visigoths, taking more land in what is now France. By the time Clovis died around 511, his kingdom was large and powerful. But Clovis and the Franks had a strange custom. When a king died, by the time Clovis died around 511, his kingdom was large and powerful. But Clovis and the Franks had a strange custom. When a king died, his land was not given to just the oldest son. Instead, it was divided among all his sons. This was called partible inheritance. It was like cutting a pizza into slices. Clovis's 4 sons each got a part of the kingdom. These brothers and their sons often fought each other. This made the kingdom weaker over time. The kings who followed Clovis were often busy fighting family wars or losing power to local nobles. Slowly, the power of these Merovingian kings grew less. They became known as the do-nothing kings. They sat on the throne, but real power began to shift. It went to a new figure, the mayor of the palace. This person was like a chief minister, gaining more and more influence. The Merovingian dynasty was losing its strength, and a new, powerful family was quietly preparing to take their place. 3. The hammer. A new power was rising among the Franks, not from a king, but from a strong family called the Carolingians. Charles Martel was a key leader, serving as the mayor of the palace, a very powerful position. Far to the east, a great new empire was growing fast. The Islamic caliphates had spread across the world, defeating mighty empires like Persia and the Visigoths. Now their armies stood at the edge of France. Many feared that all of Europe would fall. In 732, a large Muslim army moved into Frankish lands, defeating local leaders. But Charles Martel, the mayor of the palace, gathered his army. He met the invaders near the city of Tours. The battle was fierce. Charles's Frankish soldiers stood strong and defeated the powerful Muslim army. This victory at Tours saved France and much of Western Europe from conquest. For this great win, Charles was called Martel, meaning the hammer. After Charles Martel, his son, Pepin the Short, continued to lead the Franks. The old Merovingian kings had become weak, known as do-nothing kings, with others holding real power. Pepin wanted to be the true king. He asked Pope Zacharias for support. The Pope agreed that the powerful should be king. So in 751, Pepin was crowned the first Carolingian king, officially ending the Merovingian line. Pepin quickly showed his loyalty to the Pope. When new invaders, the Lombards, threatened Rome, Pepin marched into Italy. He defeated the Lombards and gave important lands to the church. This gift, called the Donation of Pepin, created the Papal States, territories directly ruled by the Pope. This act created a strong bond and a bet between the Pope and the Frankish kings. Pepin the Short died in 768. He had established a new royal line and made France strong. But his son, Charles, was even more ambitious. Known as Charlemagne, he would soon try to do something truly great, bring back the Roman Empire itself, and unite much of Europe under his rule. 4. The Great Emperor. Charlemagne, son of Pepin the Short, became king of the Franks in 768. He was a man with big plans. His brother, Carloman, ruled part of the kingdom. But Carloman died in 771, and Charlemagne took all the Frankish lands. This made him very powerful. Charlemagne wanted to make his kingdom bigger. He fought many wars. One long war was against the Saxons, a pagan people in the north. This war started in 772 and lasted over 30 years. Charlemagne wanted to stop their raids, make them Christian, and take their land. He also fought the Lombards in Italy because they troubled the Pope. In 774, Charlemagne defeated the Lombards and crowned himself their king. He gained control of much of Italy. But Charlemagne was not just a warrior. He loved learning. This time is known as the Carolingian Renaissance, a bright period in the Dark Ages. He encouraged art, books, and education. Things like question marks and spaces between words became more common. Many old books from Roman times were saved because of him. A very important event happened on Christmas Day in 800 AD. Charlemagne was in Rome.
The Pope, Leo III, placed a crown on Charlemagne's head during church. He called him Emperor of the Romans. This was a big surprise. It was like saying Charlemagne brought back the old Roman Empire in the West.
At this time, a new danger came from the north. These were the Vikings, or Northmen. They were fierce warriors from lands like Denmark. They sailed their longboats up rivers, raiding towns and monasteries. The king of West Francia, Charles the Bald, often had to pay them a lot of gold to leave. Paris, an important city, was attacked many times. In one famous siege, the city's defenses held strong thanks to a brave leader named Count Odo. The Vikings were a constant threat, and the kings struggled to stop them. To finally make the Vikings stop raiding, a new idea was tried. In the 900s, King Charles the Simple gave a Viking leader named Rollo a large area of land in the north. This land became known as Normandy, meaning land of the Northmen. Rollo and his people became Christians and promised to defend the king. These former Vikings soon became known as the Normans. The old royal family, the Carolingians, slowly lost all their power. The nobles of France grew stronger, while the kings became weaker. The last Carolingian king, Louis V, died in 987 after falling from his horse. The nobles then decided to choose a new king. They picked a powerful noble named Hugh Capet. Hugh Capet was chosen partly because he seemed weak. The other nobles thought they could control him easily. But this was an ironic choice. His family, the Capetians, would rule France for hundreds of years. At first, Hugh Capet only controlled a small area around Paris.
The rest of France was ruled by powerful local lords. Meanwhile, across the sea, a powerful Norman duke, a descendant of those very Vikings, was starting to look at a new crown. His name was William, and he had his eyes on the throne of England. 6. A family war. The year 1066 marked a new time for France and England. William, the Duke of Normandy, conquered England and became its king. This created a strange problem. William was now a king, but for his lands in Normandy, he still had to serve the King of France. So an independent king was also a vassal, a servant, to another king. This tied the two countries together in many conflicts for a long time. Later, a woman named Eleanor of Aquitaine made history. From the French king's point of view, her marriage was a big mistake. Eleanor was first married to Louis VII, the King of France. Their marriage was not happy. Louis was very religious, but Eleanor was lively and found him boring. They did not have a son to be the next King of France. So in 1152, their marriage ended. They said they were too closely related, but many people thought that was just an excuse. Soon after, Eleanor married Henry, who would become King Henry II of England. With this marriage, Henry II gained control of Aquitaine, a very large and rich part of southern France.
Now, the King of England ruled land that stretched from northern England across Normandy and down to Aquitaine. This meant the English king controlled almost half of France. This made the French kings angry and started a long family war. The fight continued with King Philip Augustus of France and Richard de Lionheart, King Henry II's son. Richard was a famous warrior, but he and Philip were often enemies. Their war stopped only when they went together on the Third Crusade. After Richard died, his brother John I became King of England. King John was not a good leader in war. Philip Augustus won back many French lands, including Normandy, from King John. The strange situation continued. The King of England was a king in his own country,
but for his lands in France, he had to give loyalty to the French king. This was a political paradox, a confusing puzzle of power. It meant borders were not clear. The King of France wanted to be the true ruler of all France. In 1214, a major battle happened at Bouvines. King Philip Augustus and his French army fought against King John and his allies, including the Holy Roman Emperor. The French army won a great victory. This battle weakened King John and helped the French monarchy become stronger. Philip Augustus's rule grew in France. But this victory did not end the family war between France and England. Instead, it planted the seeds for an even longer and bloodier conflict to come.
The Iron King. Louis IX became king. His father, Louis VIII, died when Louis was young. His mother, Blanche of Castile, helped him rule the country. Louis was a very religious and fair leader. He ended a long war in the south of France. This brought more lands under the king's power. He fought against England too, and won. This made France stronger. Louis was known for helping poor people. He made new laws that were more just, saying people were innocent until proven guilty. He built hospitals and the beautiful Sainte-Chapelle in Paris. Because he was so holy, people called him Saint Louis. Many cities, even in America, are named after him today. Louis also went on 2 crusades to faraway lands, but these did not succeed. He died in the year 1270 while fighting from a disease. After Louis IX, his son Philip III became king. Philip III died in 1285. Then his son Philip IV took the throne. People called him Philip the Fair because he was handsome. But in his rule, he was known as the Iron King because he was strong and often acted without mercy. Philip IV had many money problems. He fought costly wars with England and Flanders. To get more money, he changed the value of France's currency. This caused many problems for the people. In 1306, he forced all Jewish people to leave France and took their silver and gold. Philip also wanted to show his power over the Pope. He argued with Pope Boniface VIII. Philip even brought together a new group called the Estates General to support his decisions. Later, a French pope, Clement V, moved the pope's home to France, to the city of Avignon. This was called the Avignon Papacy. Philip IV then targeted the Knights Templar. This group of warrior monks was very rich, and Philip owed them a lot of money. On Friday, October 13, in the year 1307, Philip's men arrested many Templar knights. He accused them of serious crimes, like heresy, which were likely false. They were tortured until they admitted to crimes. The Grand Master of the Templars, Jacques de Molay, was burned alive. From the burning flames, he supposedly cursed both the king and the pope. Some people still say this is why Friday the 13th became a day of bad luck. The curse seemed to come true. Pope Clement V died a month later. King Philip IV died 8 months later, when he was only 46 years old. Philip had 3 sons who became kings after him, but they all died young and had no sons. His first 2 sons ruled only for a short time before they died. His 3rd son, Charles IV, became king in 1322. Charles also died young in 1328, at 33 years old, and he had no male heir. This left the throne of France empty and without a direct heir. It seemed the curse of the Templars had brought an end to the Capetian family line. The end of the line. The year was 1328. King Charles IV died young, just like his brothers and their sons. He was only 33 years old and had no son to take his place. This meant the direct family line of the Capetian kings, which had ruled France for over 3 centuries, was now finished. It was a big problem for France. Who would be the next king? 2 main choices appeared. In France, many nobles chose Philip from the House of Valois. He was a cousin to the dead king. But across the sea, in England, King Edward III had another idea. He was also related to the French royal family through his mother. Edward III claimed that he, not Philip, should be the new king of France. He believed he had a right to both thrones, France and England. This strong disagreement was the beginning of a very long and bloody conflict, known as the 100 Years' War. France was no longer a mix of small fighting tribes like it was after the Roman Empire fell. Now it was a strong, central nation, though it faced a great threat. From the time of Clovis, who brought the Franks together, to Charlemagne, who built a vast empire, France had grown. It survived Viking attacks and wars with England. It developed its own culture and power. At this moment, France stood as a powerful kingdom, ready to face its biggest trial yet. But who was truly in the right? Philip of Valois or Edward III?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.